The Help Myself podcast, brought to you by Q Images, run by Timothy Quisenberry. It's a world-class, veteran-owned and operated Las Vegas-based photography company. Whether you need on-site, in-studio, or on-location photography, be prepared to receive top-notch, innovative, and high-level professionalism from Q Images. While other photographers take photos, Q Images captures memories and creates experiences. Go to qimages.smugmug.com or Instagram at QUE_images. Also, the book Powered by Purpose, written by none other than your host, John M. Singletary Sr. Get your copy today at thehelpmyselfpodcast.com. Welcome to the Help Myself podcast. I am your host, John M. Singletary Sr. Listen, I am excited to be back in the booth again, man. You heard the announcements. Matter of fact, listen, I'm going to be doing some work with Q Images later on, probably it's almost summer now. So in the summer. And we're going to get some dope shots, man. You're definitely going to be impressed. So reach out, man. Hit them up. And then also the book, Powered by Purpose. Listen, if you don't have a copy of this book yet, I don't know what you're waiting on. It will absolutely change your life. All those things that you are believing are possible for you, they absolutely are. That dream, that vision, that purpose that you believe that has been placed in your life, it is there. All you need is a little push, some tools, and some guidance to get there. And this book, I stand by its ability to put you on the right path, to get you going, put a jetpack on your back, and get you inspired and motivated. So go to www.thehelpmyselfpodcast.com. Get you a copy of the book, Powered by Purpose. While you're there, sign up for the mailing list. Go check out all of my socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I want to encourage you to go to the YouTube page, which is the Help Myself Network. Go to the YouTube page, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Man, we want to get those subscriptions up. We want to make sure that more people are getting quality content from the Help Myself Network. We definitely are excited. We have the They Jammin' podcast. Me and Rock are on the They Jammin' podcast jamming. So you definitely need to check that out. But not only do we have the They Jammin' podcast, but we've got a special treat coming up very soon. We plan to drop end of April, so we're expanding the different programming on the Help Myself Network, and we're reaching out and building the team out. So there's some exciting things. So make sure you go to the YouTube page, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Tell somebody about it. Tell somebody about the Help Myself Network. And we are excited because it is Autism Awareness Month. So this month, I promise you, there's going to be an LJ episode. And in this particular episode, I will be talking about LJ. Obviously, I have on my proud dad and the blue, which is the color for Autism Awareness Month. I am so thankful and grateful for all of you that continue to support us on our journey. I tell you what, LJ is a little bit of a celebrity everywhere he goes. People ask about, where's LJ? Where's LJ? So he is definitely the light of my life and a joy. He's my co-pilot and my co-host. And, you know, that's such an interesting story. I touch on that a lot. But the story goes, as I was the pandemic, and I was looking to get into the podcasting space, just start my own podcast. My concern was that I wouldn't have a quiet space to where I could just podcast and you wouldn't hear LJ in the background playing music, singing, laughing, yelling, and being excited. And my coach at the time and my one of my big brothers, he basically said, LJ is a part of your story. You never know how inspiring that can be to somebody else that is believing that they can do something, but they're letting situations keep them from doing that. And he said, so that's a part of your story. That's a part of your life. So just go ahead and embrace it. And I have. And I'm so thankful and grateful for the advice. And I want to thank me for listening to that advice, because what is this life without my son? What is this life without the people that are important to me? And there's no one that's more important to me than my son, John M. Singletary Jr., aka LJ. So I wanted to take some time and talk about our story and our autism journey and some lessons that I've learned on this journey. Now, autism is a developmental delayed disorder process. And one of the big things that you hear people talking about, people that are on the autism spectrum, recognize subtle social cues. One of the most common things is that they're not able to detect sarcasm. We've seen characters played on television and they're not able to pick up on sarcasm. Other developmental things that go along with it. Obviously, LJ is nonverbal, so that was a development issue that came with our positioning on the autism spectrum. And again, it's a spectrum. It goes to the spectrum where, you know, high functioning and maybe just have things that you would call quirks. And then you go down on the spectrum, sometimes not able to really fend for themselves, lack of independence, and sometimes there are emotional disturbances and things like that. So it is a spectrum, and man, we're appreciative of this family, man, and we have so much love and so much respect for all of our fellow autism heroes and the people that are on this journey with us. And that's one of the amazing things, is that I've experienced the kindness of people, kindness that I didn't even, it caught me totally off guard. So, one of the things about autism that is less talked about is that it is a sensory disorder. So, a lot of times with autism, you get vision overload, sensory overload. Um, Sometimes people on the spectrum can't stand to have certain materials on their body. LJ does a really good job with that, but you can tell he don't really like nothing really close to his neck because he pulls all of his t-shirts down like that. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. But I recognize that it's making him uncomfortable. Sometimes in the winter, he's got a couple of sweatshirts and waffle style long sleeve shirts that he'll wear. And he does fine in school and a couple of his sweatshirts. But you can tell that when he get home, if he peels out of that shirt real quick, that he's not liking the way the material feels on his skin. And I remember the first time that I really dealt with understanding that it was a sensory overload, because when he's having sensory overload, I just did it like it's just, I'm describing what he does. He kind of blinks and squints when he's kind of having a sensory overload, but we didn't realize that at first, and we thought maybe there was headaches. Went to the doctor, thought maybe they were seizures. And then when you're able to talk to somebody that really has a strong background in the spectrum, able to say, yeah, when he's having sensory overload, because LJ is such a calm, laid back kid that even when he's having overload, he's still smiling, he's still really kind and engaging, unless it's getting really bad. Like usually that's when he's sleepy. I can tell, he doesn't want to be touched by anything, and he's kind of skittish when he's really sleepy and having overload. But the blessing, that does not happen often. but I've learned to understand that, like sounds. One of the things is he used to cover his ears a lot when he would hear loud sounds. And it's funny because that boy loves his music loud. Like he'll have his music so loud. I'm like, Elder, you're trying to give me a heart attack. Daddy's old. Like you can't be playing can't be playing your music that loud. But um, so those are some of the things that come with autism. But you can't talk about autism and talk about some of the situations without talking about the joy and talking about how honest and sincere LJ is. If he's feeling something or not feeling it, you're not going to get any posturing. He's going to let you know. Um, the way he accepts things. I make the joke all the time that, I don't have to worry about buying all the latest shoes or the gaming systems because LJ don't care nothing about none of that. He don't care about going to the barbershop and getting all these designs in his hair. I'm thankful that he sits still long enough to allow me to cut his hair because, again, that's a sensory issue, the buzzing of the clippers. And the majority of children with autism, people with autism, do not enjoy, getting their hair cut or being in those situations with that sensory overload. And so barbers that recognize that they can't handle that. But so one of the things that autism has really shown me is the kindness of people. Um, I grew up in a time where, especially in the neighborhood I grew up in, you would have somebody that was probably on the spectrum, and we would say things like, oh yeah, somebody getting a check for them. Or there was a guy named Corey in our neighborhood, and now that I think back to it, Corey probably was on the autism spectrum, but we just called him Kooky Corey. Like he had these kooky ways, and he was cool. He was our guy, man. We speak to him, we talk, but we always talked about how he walked a certain way, and he just. But that was our dude, but we didn't understand it, and coming to the understanding of it, because there's some trepidation knowing the way that we grew up, and kids would tease and make fun. Kids would be kids, but kids are also amazing and resilient all when you give them information and allow them to experience things and to see how well accepted LJ is. I remember when I first moved to Illinois, and just that community in the O'Fallon, Shiloh, Muscuda, Fairview Heights area, Belleville, they will always have a special place in my heart because that community embraced me and LJ. I was able to find resources. Man, LJ was going to his special needs Zumba out in Edwardsville, and we had an amazing time. And in such a difficult time, they embraced us, and we learned so much about our path. For me, that I am the father of a son on the spectrum. And there's so much that I still had yet to learn then. And now I've just embraced it. There's so much that I don't know that every day is a learning experience. And I embraced that. And so it was beautiful how people were so kind and so loving and caring and acceptive and like I really like it when, I let people know, hey, my son is on the spectrum, and, they bring up examples. Hey, I have a cousin, he's really good at math and this, that, and the other. And I love it when people go out of their way to connect with us on this journey. So it's a beautiful thing. I want to thank all the people that, as you're following us, the love that you show for my son, because anytime that you love him, it's an act of love to me. So I love the way that all of you embrace him. The DJ, LJ, when I'm out here and LJ's here, he's going to be playing some music and dancing and carrying on. And it's just a beautiful thing. And that was one of the things I learned. Another thing I learned is that in this community, you start to think that you're alone, but there are so many ties that bind us all. There's been several experiences where people saw some of LJ's stems or certain things that he did and they recognized them, and it caused a bonding moment. We were in Sky Zone in St. Louis years ago, and LJ was doing, the music got loud, and he did his, put his fingers over his ear. And LJ is such a character. If you tell him something that he don't want to hear, he'll do that. My man is a character. But a woman saw LJ doing that, and then she came up to me and she said, "Your son's on the spectrum." And I said, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And she's like, "My daughter does that too." And it was like a bonding moment. We were both excited about it. And so there's been many bonding moments like that. Another one that I can think of. So when we were in the Sky Zone, we saw that, but we were in Target out here right in the Arlington, Alexandria area. And LJ's stem is beads. So he'll take his beads and he does this with his beads all the time. And a lady there saw LJ and she said, "Oh my God, I thought he was my nephew. My nephew has the same stem. He'll take beads or string and he does that." And the way he was dancing and smiling, he remind me so much of my nephew, and you could just see the love in her face, and it was a beautiful bonding moment. And these moments happen more often than not, and it's just, it's just amazing, to LJ got some ways, and I say, LJ, you be using your autism to get away with some stuff that you shouldn't be doing. But everybody that's been rocking with the Help Myself podcast, you know that LJ's a character, man. He's the light of my life for so many reasons. He truly is a light. He lights up rooms that he goes in, and everywhere that he goes, he's beloved. And so that's such a blessing. So not only was it the fact that we were able to connect and have these moments and learn things, but I believe that our path and our journey has created not only a bond, but a discipline. Like, there is a level of courage to go out into the world in the unknown and face that with a situation that might be different from everybody else. Like, if we're out in public, I used to be concerned that LJ might have he might have a meltdown, or he might go somewhere and sensory and he feels uncomfortable, or crowds or whatever. And what I realized was it was less LJ and it was more me that had to get through that. And I used to go and I'm going to be transparent, I would be self-conscious because, LJ is bouncing around and yelling and making noise. And, I'm like, "Hey, be quiet, buddy." And, the conscious, people are going to be looking at us. And I had to sit down with myself and I realized, man, my son is happy, he's healthy, and we are overcoming things. And there was just this shift. So now when we go out, I'm just engaged with LJ. And one of my friends hung out with us and he said, "Man, one of the things I just noticed is just like, you never treated LJ like there was any difference. Like, we went there, we were sitting down to eat, and both of you were just engaging, and you were letting him explore his world, and you would ask him what he wanted and these things. And like, you were never focused on what was going on outside of the connection you and LJ had." And I had to learn that, me and LJ have a special bond, and it's a special world. And are there people in the world that maybe aren't as kind and as nice as they could be? Absolutely. But I think that's consistent with everybody. Some people just have things going on in their life where it's just not in them to be kind and thoughtful to other people. But will I let that change how I move during my day and through my life? No, because I look at LJ and I think about how extraordinarily blessed I am to be on this path, the ways that I've had to develop and grow that that LJ has challenged me to be courageous. LJ has challenged me to take risks, because in any other situation, there's so many times where it would have been so much easier just to stay in a comfortable place. But LJ is adventurous, man. I remember, I think LJ was probably all of about 9 or 10, man. He was still a little guy, man. We were in that Sky Zone, and he loved to jump on the trampolines. But they had this new, almost like a bungee cord thing where you go in there and it shoots you way up, and LJ wanted to get on that thing so bad. And I was like, nah, buddy. It almost looked like a mini slingshot. Like, it wasn't that serious because it was inside, but it was similar to that. And I was like, nah, bro. Mm-mm. But he attacks the world every day like that. Like, he's looking for adventure. He loves to go outside, and we take walks and we explore the neighborhood. And he loves to go to new places and take rides. And that has begun to become a part of what I do in life also, is that what are the ways that we can explore something different and new? And I feel like he has groomed me for the new space that I find myself in as a retired military member. And he's challenging me and pushing me. And I say challenge accepted. But what I really want to say is that on this Autism Awareness Month, to all of the families, the loved ones, and people who support and are intertwined in our stories and in our lives, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you that listen and watch the Help Myself podcast. Appreciate your support. I want to thank you for your kindness. I want to thank you for being beautiful souls, because our story is amazing and we appreciate everything that our story brings. And that's not to say that there aren't difficulties. But I tell you what, into every life, a little rain must fall. But the beautiful thing about rain is that rain enriches and empowers and feeds and moisturizes and gives us the ability to grow. And we're thankful for continuous and perpetual growth. Because if you're not growing, if you're not learning, if you're not curious, if you're not pushing the boundaries, you become stagnant, you become stale, you become stuck. And the last thing that we want to do is be stuck, unless it's up and then it's stuck. Y'all don't hear me though. I think I tickled myself a little too much. But hey, listen, we got some great programming this month for Autism Awareness. LJ is going to get a dedicated episode. We're going to have him come in and talk a little bit more about our journey, come up with some more stories, and just get him on the mic and on the camera and see what he's willing to share with us. And we are in touch with getting interviews with some folks that work with people on the spectrum. So we got some great programming planned for this month. I appreciate you. I thank you. Thank you so much for supporting us. I am a proud dad, so I am signing off on behalf of me and my co-pilot, LJ, and I will close the way that I close every time. Listen, I can't help myself. I've got to inspire. I've got to encourage. I've got to empower. But I can't help myself by being the absolute best version of myself. And guess what? You can too. So why not we do it together?